I first met Isabella when I was 24, not in my early 20s, as some might assume. After college, I worked as a legal assistant at a small construction firm, while Isabella was a nurse at a local hospital. Our paths crossed through mutual friends, and what followed was a whirlwind romance that led to marriage just 6 months later. Initially, we moved in with my mother, settling into her modest 3-bedroom apartment. Soon after, our son Tony was born, and 2 years later, our daughter Harper arrived. Those early years were chaotic, exhausting, but unforgettable. Jobs were scarce, and money was tight. Isabella's nursing income barely covered the essentials, yet somehow we managed. Around that time, an old classmate reached out with a job offer. He ran a construction business specializing in custom wooden baths and furniture, and he needed help. The pay was decent, and work was steady. I jumped at the chance. As years passed and the new millennium unfolded, opportunities improved further. My classmate eventually offered to sell me the business, and I accepted without hesitation. From that point, life began to tilt in our favor. Isabella left nursing, returned to school, and became a licensed cosmetologist. I purchased a small room for her, where she opened a cozy salon. The children grew up quickly. Tony graduated from university and eventually worked abroad, while Harper completed a degree in foreign languages and married a man who, ironically, now works for me. They did well, blessing us with a grandson, then a granddaughter. Life seemed steady, content. My son-in-law proved respectable, hardworking, trustworthy, which made me consider passing the business to him, letting me slow down and finally enjoy peace. By 54, I was exhausted after decades of work. My dream was simple, a quiet country home, growing vegetables, spending time with my grandchildren. But Isabella had other plans. Her energy surged with each passing year. She constantly reinvented herself, chasing experiences she'd missed in youth. I had tried all the beauty treatments, but now my face barely resembled its former self. Still, I wasn't bitter. I maintained my health, exercised, lived moderately. Isabella, meanwhile, pursued youth in every form, endlessly active, endlessly restless. I convinced her to renovate our country house. She hired a designer, shared the plans, and work began. 3 months later, my accountant handed me a staggering bill. Shocked, I called Isabella. "Don't you think this designer's fee is excessive? Did you hire the priciest designer in town?" I asked, frustration creeping in. "The work isn't done yet, and anyway, he's the best," she replied sharply, daring me to argue. "I don't care how good he is. Paying the crew directly would have been cheaper." "You should have handled this yourself," I said. She shot back, "If you don't like it, that's your problem," before hanging up. Lately, our marriage had grown tense. She was always busy, absorbed in her pursuits. I managed the children, the business, and everything else. That summer, Harper, my son-in-law, and I decided to spend time at the country house. I installed a security system for peace of mind. A few days later, I logged in remotely to check the cameras, and froze. Isabella was there, laughing, clearly enjoying the company of our young designer. They met multiple times a week, smiling, sharing moments that went far beyond professional courtesy. She was oblivious I was watching. The truth hit me hard. She had been playing a dangerous game. The designer was barely 30, half her age. My jaw tightened as disbelief and anger churned together. The conversation with Isabella that followed was brief. Calmly, I told her I wished her well in whatever path she chose. At first, she denied everything, but when I showed her the footage, lies had no room. "We love each other," she admitted, shame in her voice. "He's the love of my life." The bitter truth settled in my chest. Perhaps the saying should read that women are fools not inherently, but because hearts sometimes blind them to reality. I moved to the country shortly after, continuing to run the business while gradually handing responsibilities to my son-in-law, who absorbed every lesson with integrity. Meanwhile, Isabella's designer thrived at her expense, living extravagantly, surrounded by young women, all while pretending to love her. I watched from afar, wondering if she'd ever see the truth. A month ago, my daughter delivered the final blow. "Dad," she said quietly. He left. "Mom found someone with more money and influence. She's pregnant, a politician's daughter." She explained. Isabella cried, regretted everything, but pride and shame kept her from returning. I felt nothing. My life had moved on. Now I live outside the city, working at my own pace. The business is in trusted hands. I no longer concern myself with Isabella or her chaos. The children may struggle with their mother, but that is no longer my burden. Life is quieter, simpler, more fulfilling. I found peace in my work, my home, my family, free from the complications that once consumed me.